So, and like I was saying, Andy, we're talking about the concept there of social media, and as we continue here with part 2 of the podcast, talking with Andy, lady from Dynamic Custom Strings, we're talking about social media. We're talking about how the pros and cons, how it affects the small bow shop, how it can help in other ways, and where we're at right now is just discussing how important it is to work with and work around and maybe restructure your time into your social media and the positive side to how it can help somebody like yourself who is a custom string builder and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so by really just having to focus on one thing, and that is strings. Other than, yes, my wife and kids, and I do have a, quote, full-time job, even though I build strings more than 40 hours a week. Anyway, it's easier for me to go, okay, this Facebook group, this guy was looking for a bow that has draw lengths from this to this and poundage from this to this and axle to axle, this to this. Do I have anything like that? I don't know. Get the computer out. Tell me if we have a blah, 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 blah. And that person's looking for strings and wants to see a picture of something in this color. And this guy wants a hip quiver. And that was just chaos. And even if the shop was my full-time job, I don't think I could have kept up with that. But my brain told me I needed to. And I don't know that was true. I think the local market for new bows and accessories is much stronger than social media. Social media is a used market.
Yes.
Used bows, used sites, trade and releases, whatever. But that, when we live, it's hard on all small shops. And when companies, and I keep coming back to Elite just because I was offered an Elite dealership before the outdoor group technically owned them. So I've seen Elite kind of from day one all the way to where they are now. Now, I've been with PSE for almost 10 years, did Bear in there at a point as well, and so I've seen those things. So, one thing that I will give Bear credit for is their pricing structure in 8 years hasn't changed. As far as what tier are you as a dealer, and tiers meaning how much money do you spend. Those have not moved in 8 years.
Wow.
Now, at some point, inflation sets in, and that probably needs to change. But they try to, they realize that it's a tough market. And so rather than kill themselves by saying, oh, what used to be $10,000 is now $15,000 and you just lost half your dealers, or whatever the case may be, we're better off to leave it down there and keep moving bows and try to keep prices down. Now, Bear's come out with some smoking bows the last couple years. They have some PR work that needs done for people to grab that.
Right.
Which is okay. Every company has probably made that mistake in its life. You have a year where your bows aren't maybe the greatest, and you start focusing on engineering and what we need to do different for next year, and we forget that we still have to stay in the public eye. So that happens. But and some of these companies get to have so many bows, you can't keep track of them either. PSE has a pile of bows, and I struggle to remember them even being a dealer for almost 10 years. But then when you come out and, you have, everybody's gone to having a flagship bow.
You're right.
Flagship bow, the latest and greatest. 3/4 of them are usually released at the ATA show.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, but most of them are not that different from last year's flagship bow. Not different enough to justify that kind of money.
Yeah, you know something else too, Andy, is that whole concept of releasing them at the ATA show. I understand the concept behind it. I understand the whole unveiling thing and in front of all those people, but I think from a bow shop standpoint, that doesn't help. It's the wrong time of year.
It's exactly. The one thing that I will give credit to PSE about this year, 2017, this is the first year that I can remember that they had a preview package for dealers. So in September, I think it was, somewhere in there, which is not a great time of year either because Nebraska archery deer season opens September 1.
Yeah.
But September 1, we were contacted by our rep and said, hey, we're going to do a preview package this year. Now, PSE bows have always come out in October. That's kind of been the norm. And a lot of that has to do with Nebraska's archery season opens early compared to a lot. So sometimes I just felt that it was strange, but it probably wasn't anyway. So this dealer package it's going to be our flagship bow. It's going to be this, and this. Had X amount of bows in it, and you will have up at your door October 1st, which is the day we are going to release all the new bows. So a huge benefit that was something very irritating, is they do these releases, even at the ATA show, and 3 days later, people are in shops looking for these bows. Now, maybe not necessarily to buy them, but they want to shoot one. And you've put all this hype behind it, and then you don't even have one that they can try. That makes it hard on the shop owner as well as makes people mad with the manufacturer. So it was nice this year that my preview package showed up literally the day that they were releasing the bows. And as soon as they showed the new ECS system, my phone was ringing. How long before I can shoot one? I said, come down to the shop now. I got one you can shoot. So that was great, but the timing is bad because ATA is usually in February.
Right.
And most people have their tax returns by then and have already spent them. And I'll be honest, a lot of the upper end bow sales happen when people get their tax returns. Because when you're talking about spending $1,000 plus on a new bow, not a lot of people are just going to walk in and pull that kind of money out in July.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think the other motivation could be also is to offer them up before all of the hunting seasons across the United States per se, because that's where 80% of your customers, and you and I have talked about this, the whole, you got your 10% of your elite shooters, and I don't mean the elite company, I mean your top-end pro shooters, I'll say your Steve Andersons, your Steve Hansons, your Mike Schleslers, your Rios, your Levi's, your Jessies, your all those guys, right? Yep. You have that top 10%, and then you have the 10% that are trying to make their way into there. And that 10%, the top 10%, includes your Randy Newbergs, your Cameron Haynes, your trying to think off the top of my head, your Pigman, your Brian Quaka, I think is how he says his last name. Those guys are all in that upper 10%. Your Chris Brackett's, you're all those guys. So then you have that 10% that are trying to make their way into that. And then you have the 80%, which OAC focuses on, which you as a string builder focuses on. Those are the guys you need to reach. And those guys, when do they want to buy their bows? And this is just my opinion on the matter. You're absolutely spot on about the whole tax return thing. But likewise, month or two before the season, yes, let's face it, not everybody's shooting you around like we are.
No, the new releases of bows, in my opinion, needs to happen in about June.
Yeah, I agree.
June or July. Get the new bows in the shop and give people, like you said, 2 and 3 months before their local seasons open. Shop owners are some of the craziest people you'll ever meet. Meaning, I probably sell my personal bow 4 times through hunting season. I order a bow and I say, all right, this year I'm keeping this bow. This is mine. And you hit a 10-minute down period in your shop. You're like, all right, I'm going to pull this bow out and shoot it. And you fling 2 arrows and somebody walks in. Hey, what's that? Well, it's just like this one hanging here. No. No, it's not. And it walks out the door.
That's right. That's funny.
And that's great because you're selling product, but at the same time, you're like, man, that was my bow. It was set up for me, and whatever.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to having your own shop, for sure. But the other thing is that they're always going to look at you and it's like, well, what are you shooting? Or what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or, and you got to jump in the opportunity when it comes, I get that all the time with everything from my arrows I shoot, shout out to Jason Wilkins and Randy, from Black Eagle Arrows. And, I get that all the time. Well, what Black Eagles are you shooting? Or what arrows are you shooting? Or what bow? Or what release? Or what strings do you have on your bow? Or I need, or I'll get the whole, I need new strings. What do you suggest? It's constant. It's a constant. It's a revolving door on that note. A good one at that, right?
It is. Probably the worst thing that I hate is when they walk in the door. What's the best bow on the market? Well, that's about the most open-ended, blank question there is. And this is what I've told people for 10 years. You can ask my customers. They walk in, what's the best bow out there? I said the best bow out there is, first off, the bow that is in your budget that feels the best in your hand. And that's the God's honest truth. I've had
absolutely
all over the U.S. and I've had people hand me my butt on the line that are shooting a bow worth $200, and I've got $2,000 sitting in my hand with bow and accessories, and the guy just beat the crap out of me downrange on paper. It's the shooter and what feels good to you. Don't let the hype of what pro is shooting what bow, or your buddy that makes 3 times the amount of money you do a year, determine what bow you think you need. If your budget is $500 for a bare bow, meaning a bow with nothing on it, you're going to spend $500 on the bow, don't shoot a $1,000 bow. Because I will tell you, unfortunately, there is a big difference between a $500 bow and a $1,000 bow when they're new on the rack. Whether it's speed, comfort, whatever.
Yeah.
But, if you're looking to buy a Ford Taurus, don't go drive a Mercedes. Don't frustrate yourself.
Yeah, true story. I 100% agree with everything you're putting out there, man.
Go shoot 3 or 4 bows from different manufacturers that cost $500, and go shoot it by yourself. Yeah,
and you got to shoot all bows. Let's put it this way, and I think OAC proves this. It doesn't matter the bow you shoot. It doesn't matter the arrows you shoot. We all have our companies that we support. What matters is how often you do it, how much you support it, and how much effort you put into it. It doesn't matter if it's PSC, Elite, APA, Athens. We have bow companies on the group, on our competitors group, that you don't see them in any of these big stores, but they're still making quality stuff, and these guys shoot the lights out, and they work hard, and they shoot hard. Yeah, they it's all, you got to pick it up, you got to shoot it, you got to decide if you like it. It's got to be what's best fit for you, so.
And that's what I tell people. I say, when you're really ready to make that decision and you're going to go shoot bows, go do it by yourself. Don't take your buddy with you. Because that will steer you down a road that might not be the right road for you.
Yes, sir. I think that's a great point. I think it's a great point. I think that actually might be a good spot to sort of close this out, the consideration of, listen, the options are out there. Utilize social media in the right ways. We're not telling you don't go buy used bows, but, you know,